Hello, greetings, and welcome everyone to the Money Flow Stock Market Review and Forecast for Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. I'm your host, Dr. BJ Love, and I'll be bringing you today's update. Stocks mostly lower for the second day in a row. Stocks were mostly lower for a second day, with energy being the strongest market group for a second day. The major averages closed near the lows of the afternoon, with the Dow Jones Industrial being down 170 points and closing at 46,121, while the S&P 500 fell 19 points to 6,638. The Nasdaq lost 76 points, finishing at 22,498. Breath, the heartbeat of the market, was mostly negative. The VIX fell 0.46 and closed at 17. And as we reiterate on every broadcast here at the Money Flow Stock Market Review and Forecast, that as long as the VIX remains below the threshold of 20, the market tends to grind higher. Even though we had what we call a shallow pullback, today the dominant trend of the market is up. The market posture is bullish. Crude oil prices jumped $1.41 and closed at $64.82 a barrel. Gold prices dropped $53 on a stronger dollar. And we're going to analyze the correlation, the inverse correlation, if you will, of the dollar and precious metals later on in the program. So the dollar finished on a stronger dollar, and gold ended up at $3,763.10 an ounce. Silver prices were down 6 cents and closed at $44.17 an ounce. Bitcoin closed the session at 113,570, and that is up from the previous day. Now, the pullback in equities may be attributed to short-term weakness, in my opinion, and I'd look for investors to buy the dip if we see another drawdown. So let's go right into the charts now, and we can get a picture of what is really going on. So we're going to go into our four grid, what we call BJ's four grid in our chart section. And as you can see, we have all four indices that we track: the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the NASDAQ Composite, and the Russell 2000. Now I'm going to go ahead and maximize these screens, and each one of these, this is our weekly long-term trajectory that gives us a feeling of confidence, calmness, and clarity with these indicators that helps us to navigate these markets. So we're going to maximize here, and we see, starting with the NASDAQ Composite, we see that we have a green background, and each one of these price bars is above a rising moving average, which indicates, a week in time. We also have our supporting indicator, the MACD, giving us more reason to believe that the rise in the markets, even though it has a shallow pullback today, rise in these markets will continue in the near future. All right, from there, we're going to go to Russell 2000. As we can see, we have the green background as well. And if you've been with us here at Money Flow Stock Market Review and Forecast for a while, you understand that we have a proprietary software that gives us a color-coded signal as to whether we are in a uptrend, long-term uptrend, or a long-term downtrend. So the background is green, and that gives us an indication of a long-term uptrend in this particular indice, the Russell 2000, and as we looked at also the NASDAQ Composite before this. The price bars up above a rising moving average, and these moving averages are moving upward. This is our philosophy. This is our foundation. This is our cornerstone. And then we also use additive indicators that gives us more confidence that this trend should continue. I'm going to move on now to the S&P 500. Again, we see the green background indicates that we are in a long-term uptrend. Remember, long-term trends dominate, short-term trends fluctuate. So we depend on our long-term trend here, which we have been invested in the S&P 500 or the S and the or the ETF since the close of May the 19th, 2025. And as you can see, each one of these price bars represent 1 week, and we have been up until the present time when we hit a new high this week and started to pull back a little bit, but the background is green, forecasting more price increase in the near future. And for our final long-term background check here, we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Again, similar background. And we have price bars that are up, above rising moving average. And that indicates that this particular trend should continue into the near future. So now we're going to check the other indices and commodities that we looked at, that we mentioned, in the introduction, and we're going to look at them in a different format, which we call our triple screen. And let's see, where are we? Right here. And we can see now in the general markets sector, we look at the VIX, and we talked about it, and there's the VIX. In the daily chart, it is what we call our intermediate chart. On our long-term chart, you can see that it is definitely in a downtrend, but it's starting to show some life here on the short-term trend, and we can see that the price bars here, these are daily price bars, and they're starting to show some signs of increase. However, the dominant chart, the weekly chart, is still in a very long downtrend. Prices are below falling moving averages. And now that is with the VIX. And then we're going to look at oil. Oil is starting to show a little bit of a spike. So if we can see, I just have to put it in. Let's see. On a long term, oil is in a downtrend. It is below a falling moving average. How do you know, Dr. PJ, that it is in a falling moving average? We have a color-coded software that lets us know when a moving average that we depend on, which is this 30-week moving average, when it is down. Studies have shown over decades that the price will continue to go down in this particular scenario, long-term trend. And now we go to our intermediate trend, which shows now that oil is trying to make a move up. However, it's struggling, and it has not made a true breakout as of yet. When we go to our short-term trend, we see that it has a breakout. But again, as we reiterate, long-term trends dominate, short-term trends triculate. Long-term trends dominate, long-term trends fluctuate. And so we can see at the short term that oil is trying to pull up a little bit. However, the long-term trend is really, really holding it down. And until, I guess, oil can break above this resistance of about 65.45, it will remain in this downtrend syndrome. All right, we're going to move there and we're going to look at gold. Even though gold fell about $50 today, this is the long-term trend, and it doesn't seem like it even phased the long-term trend of gold. If we go to the short-term trend or the intermediate trend, it still looks very, very bullish. we have what we call here a bull stack, and we'll get into that as we move further into the program in the future, as we start to explain a lot of the, simply explain a lot of the indications and methods that we use for us to be in winning stocks and indices and remain in them until that trend changes. So we don't really see a trend change happening on the intermediate. Now, however, we do see a little bit of a trend change here in the short term, but it is just for a signal of entry or exit. If you miss this long-term trend in gold, you may have an opportunity when this particular scenario turns around and may give you an opportunity to invest in gold. I don't believe that the run in gold is over as of yet. Now we're going to look at silver. And silver in the short term is down right now. We did have a minor pullback. And if we go to our long term, you can see that silver has been up, up, up since May of this year. And it's been rising, rising, rising above this rising moving average, and all of our indicators and relative strength and all that kind of good stuff gives us more confidence that this rise should continue in the near future. So now we're going to look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Where are you? Now Bitcoin, oh no, slash BTC. Bitcoin has been in an uptrend and is now starting to move sideways, or what we call consolidate. It still is in a long-term uptrend, but in the short term, you can see that it's kind of, topping out, going down, and it's showing on a short-term basis that over the next week or so, we should see it fall even further in price. And then if we go to our short term here, we see it fluctuating even more. And our momentum indicator is negative, showing that it probably has a high probability of not overcoming this short-term downtrend in the next week or so. So always remember, long-term trends dominate. This is our long-term trend, right? This is our long-term trend here for Bitcoin. And this is our short-term trend, which fluctuates. So we'll just wait, watch, and see how Bitcoin works itself out. What we like when in the strong sectors that we see is in gold, and one of the gold stocks that we like is KGC, and it has been working for us very, very well. Come on, KGC, come on. Don't take so long. He's still working, he's still working, he's still working. He's still working, he's still working, he's still working. KGC, let's go. I want to show the people how strong you have been. Okay, here we go. In the long term for KGC, it's just been phenomenal. We got the signal back here in February of 2025, and it has moved from about $10 all the way up to $24, 250% return on our money. This is the kind of uh, information that we give to our audience for free, and letting you know what are the strongest sectors. One of them is being gold. We're going to feature that tonight. And the strongest stock in that sector is KGC. So there you have it. The market posture is bullish. So with that, I'm going to say every day and every way we get better and better. Every day and every way we grow more prosperous, successful, and victorious. And God's love continues to surround us and fold us and wraps us. And we go forth in perfect peace and ever increase.